Welcome back to the Beyond the Bestseller podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Schuknecht, and today's guest is Maria Kyriakos, author of Work It, which I love the title, and subtitle How to Rock Your Career Intentionally. Maria, I am super excited to talk about this book. So thank you for coming on, and I'd love for you to start with just telling us about your book and why you wrote it.
So the book is really about helping people take charge of their career, and um, I more than anything, let me start with why I wrote it. So
Okay.
I know I'm kind of backstepping, but I wrote it because as an executive leadership and career coach, I can only service and support so many clients at a given time. Additionally, I think that the messages and my model and approach are really relevant across industries and levels of career. So I wrote it to extend my business, to
Yeah.
provide expertise, to demonstrate my expertise, to provide my model to people who are interested in it. And additionally, my message, I think, is pull up your bootstraps. Your career is yours to own. And as much as people may want to help you, you're the driver.
I love that. I feel like I feel like so much of my career happened not intentionally,
Mm,
but not in a bad way. Like I had opportunities, I took opportunities that I had, right? And then I found myself in these leadership positions, like nothing I had really was nothing that I was striving for. Like I wasn't thinking like I want to be in these leadership roles, it just kind of happened. Um, and, like, I feel fortunate about like, I don't feel like I ever was stuck in these positions where I was like, "I really want to, like, get to the next level, but I don't know what to do?" Um, but the one thing I felt like happened to me was I got to this level of, I was high level in a company, but there's nowhere else to go.
mhm,
And I spent 3 years in that role feeling very stuck because I was like, where do I go from here?" Right? Like,
yeah.
there's no other than becoming the CEO of the company, which is not going to happen. What else is there for me? So talk to me about like, so that's my journey. And I just want to like
Mhm.
kind of start with where I am, right? But like I would imagine that, your book is for people who are maybe in positions where it's like they do want to strive for leadership and they feel stuck in their roles. But like talk to me about like the target audience for this book and what
Yeah.
who you wrote it for specifically.
So my target coaching client would be the mid-career, and what that means is people who are roughly about 20 years in. So I'm gonna say 40 to mid-50s
Yep.
is the sweet spot. And the book can actually be a proactive resource for people earlier in career, that will enable that trajectory. But the uh, your example was a great one around how career moves forward unintentionally most of the time.
Mhm.
People tap you and they say, "You're really good at this," or you raise your hand because something might be of interest to you. And it can be a really um, empowering and rich trajectory until you don't know what to do next, or you want to do something next and there isn't the sponsorship to support you in getting there. So
Mhm.
you're either uh, you've not leveled there's no other place to go. Like you said, you'd have to be the CEO, or people see your strengths and want to leverage them, but that's not what you want to continue doing. There's that option as well. So I wrote the book from a perspective of leadership because, quite frankly, I'm a leadership coach who's a reluctant career coach. It's not something I wanted to coach into. And basically, because when I mention career, people are like, oh, God, it's work, right?
Mhm.
They equate career management with it's another task, it's work that I need to do. I don't even have time, excuse me, and to get done what I've already got to get done, rather than career management is a mindset. It's part of being a really effective leader because if in fact you are managing your career and it's not distracting you, then you have more to give to others. You can mentor, coach, be focused on their development because you're not sidetracked by your own, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
So, what I tended to see in two paths for senior leaders, either those who were naturally gifted in leadership and um, generous by nature, and their strengths and promoting of others actually promoted their careers, or those who were very set on the title and the path they wanted. And I'm not going to say we're bad leaders. I'm going to say we're not as effective, and their people didn't get the attention
Mhm.
and the promotion to help manage their own careers. So the further up you elevate, the more influence you actually have on other people's careers,
Mm.
right? If you choose to.
Yeah.
So it looks like I interrupted you maybe.
No, I have lots of questions. I You're making me think of lots of things. So, yes, so just what to build on what you how you just ended that is like, yeah, you do and also other people do too. Like, so my experience in corporate was like, yeah, that people in leadership positions then have the ability to influence other people's
Right.
career paths in a way that can be good or bad.
Yes.
Um, and you made me think of, so in that environment, so in the corporate environment, so, I talked about, like, kinda getting stuck in that one role. Well, I did
Mhm.
leave that role because I just knew, like, I was like, there's nothing like, I think it was, like, 10 years ago, right? So I'm in my late 30s, and I'm like, "What am I doing for the rest of my career? Like, this is it," you know? And so I knew I had to get out. I needed to do something different or, like, I was just that was what I was going to be doing forever.
Yeah.
And, long story short, I ended up in a corporate role and, and then there, it was like I saw this was a much bigger company, and I saw how much, you can also get stuck in roles just because you're in this large there's
Yeah,
this large organization,
absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And other
Yeah.
people do have it wasn't just the CEO going, "Hey, I need you in this role to do these things for me." It was like, you got HR's opinion, you got, the different department's decision, you got your boss's there's all these things, right? Um, so how intentional can you be in that type of
Yeah.
role? Because there, I wouldn't say I felt stuck there, but I just can imagine people in that type of environment where it's like, how much control do I really have over this?
So that's a great question about how do I as an individual, whether leader or individual contributor, how do I have impact and influence
Mm.
around how I want to contribute, right? That's where that question is when the organization wants and needs me doing something else. And that I coach into this all the time. And in my humble opinion, it's about influential communication skills and being really clear about what it is you want to do. The the fallacy that if I work hard, people will notice and understand the value I can bring. Not always. As a matter of fact, only sometimes.
Right.
And truly, you have to reflect and get clear about what you do want and what you don't want, and then use the influential communication skills to deliver that in a way that says, thank you. Thank you for thinking of me in XYZ way. I'd also like to expand that view of me so that I can experience supporting a acquisition. I want to support an acquisition and merger or an integration or a new market entry or whatever it might be, right? And they might not think of you for that because you haven't done it yet. But the point would be you haven't done it yet. And you'd like to add it to your portfolio,
Right, right.
right? So it is your job, our job, each of us, to get clear about what we want.
Yeah.
And with my clients, my focus is, and my encouragement to anybody that listens to this is, it's not about the role. I mean, Kelly, you made a great observation about it isn't necessarily the title or the role. It's about how do you want to be of impact? What kind of influence do you want to have in the work that you do or with the people
Mhm,
that you work with? And one of the things that attracted me to your particular podcast was this focus on amping up and amplifying influence and impact. So, um, use your voice, spend time reflecting in an American culture that is incredibly focused on doing, that pausing to think about what am I good at? What maybe am I not as effective at? And
mhm,
I don't care or it's not important. And what do I want to add to my portfolio of skills so that I can impact and influence in the way that I choose to?
mhm,
And what else was I going to say about that? Oh, that I think there are 3 tools that I recommend in my book. Having come from a corporate environment, I believe structure is provides you with the freedom, to act within that structure. And so there's clarity and um, an ability to take action and then to look back and see the progress that you've made. So I use a 3-pillar approach to make it super simple. The first is it's about you and this idea of reflecting and then synthesizing. Like, who am I? What's the story in my resume? What's the impact I want to have? And the second one is once you are clear about that and you continue to revisit that, right? It's never a one and done. Then, in order to really be effective in career and to be of impact, you need to have connections and alliances.
mhm,
And so that process is about your network and it's reclaiming people that you already know and then engaging with individuals that will be new to your network. And I really encourage a diversified network of colleagues and sponsors and mentees and mentors, etc. And then the third foundation, I think is important to anybody and everybody, which is influential communication because it is and I synthesize that down into communication is about receiving and expressing,
mm,
and it's not about speaking. And yet we can get so used to the telling of and the speaking of and the relaying information that we forget that did that other person receive and process it, right? And have we heard whatever it is that's coming back to us rather than listening to respond? Which is not influential,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So those are the foundations and tools that, in the book that I hope, will catalyze people into integrating a easy or simple career management process into their leadership toolkit that is structured enough that it allows you, to make progress, right? And to see the impact of the work that you're doing or the efforts you're making rather.
Sure. So, all of that said, is there a point where I mean, it sounds like everything you're talking about is to be successful within an organization where you're already working.
Eventually.
So, and it reminds me of so I was lucky when I was in the corporate environment that I had a leadership coach, and I'm a big fan of coaching, so I love what you do, and I think it's great. Like, I think anyone doing anything could use a coach for whatever, I think,
Yeah.
anyone in a corporate environment certainly can use a coach just to, like, help them along. Your coach comes alongside your boss, right? Like, your boss can help you with certain certain
Yeah.
parts of that, but you also need kind of an outside person with a different perspective and, not the control over you, because that's just a different
Mhm.
dynamic.
For sure.
Um, but I remember so my leadership coach had actually written a book, and I had read her book, and the book was, kind of about, like I don't wanna I don't wanna give away the title, but, about, like, exploring, if you're feeling called to, like, something
Right.
else, right? Like,
Purpose, if you will. Yes.
exploring, like, what are those options for you? And so
Mm.
it doesn't necessarily mean leaving your job, right?
Right.
It could, um, and I actually read her book and was like, "I think I need to leave, like, I think I need to do this other thing." And
Right.
what she encouraged me to do was she was like, this is actually something you could bring to leadership and, like, basically offer to, like, do this within this stable environment that you have. Like, rather than be risky and go out and start your own thing, you could pitch it as an idea of like, "Hey, I wanna
Mhm.
create this service line," and it happened to be along the lines of something that my company had been talking about. So it was like, that makes sense. Keep the insurance, keep the benefits, like,
Yeah.
stay in that
Yeah.
organization and, like, start this new thing.
Absolutely.
So I went to somebody in leadership and pitched the idea, and they're like, "Yeah, it's not really a priority for us right now." And I was like, "Okay," like, I was kinda like, "Alright," I got shot down, and then, probably I don't know how long after that, I can't remember, but within a year, I was laid off and started the thing that was the idea that
I love it. I love
that
it.
helped me think through that. But anyways,
Yeah.
all of that to say, like, at what point is it like,
Mm.
okay, is what how do you help people that when you're coaching them as far as, like, thinking about staying in the organization
Right.
versus leaving for other opportunities? Like, at what point is it like okay, the being intentional means I need to leave, basically?
Absolutely. So I would first answer it two-part. This is directional, not analytically specific, but I would say about 70% of my clients at some level are considering and want to be coaching through how to how to do more where they are,
Yeah,
or should they be leaving.
yeah,
So I would say that it's a much more popular topic
yeah.
as part of the leadership coaching.
Especially
And
like you
then to
said,
go,
that mid-career person
yes,
who's like, "I've been here a
absolutely.
while, been there, done that." Even if you've done different jobs, it's like, I'm just
Right.
ready for the next thing.
Exactly. And the the that particular topic, um, as I coach deeply into it, it's helping someone determine what is it that even has them thinking about the fact that they might want more or less or specific or what's missing,
Mm,
right? The coaching into the what's missing, because usually something is,
yeah,
or what is getting in the way of you feeling and knowing that you are contributing at the level you want to be, whatever that is, right? It's not level, it's breadth of impact, right? Or doing work you love, or developing people, fill in the blank, or ideating, creating strategy.
mhm,
The There is a level of dissatisfaction. So as professionals and entrepreneurs, on that barometer that you have of the 100% feeling full and enthusiastic and kind of being a catalyst for others, and maybe 10% feeling um, just unmotivated or unseen or not as impactful, not valued, maybe. Most people are probably, I'd say, maybe in that 60 to 70% range, and trying to determine what more,
mhm,
like what more. And that's the coaching space.
yeah,
That's part of the coaching space. It's where reflection continues to come in. It's where your network can be profoundly useful. Meeting with people and uh, you don't have to open it up vulnerably to say, "I'm looking for other jobs." It could just be, "This is what I've been doing, and I just sense I'd like to do more, and so I'm meeting with people I really respect in my network to go deeper and see what I might be missing," you
Mhm.
know, what ideas you might have for me. Um, and there's a saying, as a prior HR leader who came to executive coaching because of my passion for professional development and leadership potential, there's a saying that you don't take the call from a recruiter unless there's some level of dissatisfaction. You might be curious, but usually we take the call because something else is going on. If you
Mhm.
really love, love, love your job, your work, then you're like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are like some of the clues, if you will,
Yeah.
that help decide, ought I to be looking outside? Is there a different area within the organization?
Yeah.
Another, I think, important consideration in career, and this comes up a lot in my clients who are looking to pivot in career. It's what are the skills and knowledge that I possess, and how can it apply to other professions, industries, fill in the blank?
Mhm. Yeah. I think that's great. These are great tips for people. You mentioned that you wrote this, you use it in your work. Is this a something that you do to tell me about how you use it? Like, is it something you give to clients? Is it something that you use to bring as a lead kind of generator for new clients? Like, how do you use it on the business, like for your business?
Right. So it's the model that I tend to use no matter what. So whether I'm actually referring to the book or not, this is the model that I use with my clients. And
Mhm.
it was less explicit before I wrote the book, and now I will refer to the book. I encourage clients to consider purchasing it because they'll have more resources in there. But I don't, of course, I mean, it's not like you'd force anybody. I just say, if you're interested, I strongly encourage it. Partners well with our coaching. The second is part of me, uh, I think coaches, well, maybe some of them are, but we don't go in to be millionaires, truly. There is some calling around wanting to be of service and enable potential in other human beings or enabling whatever it is you are passionate about. And so, in that regard, I also truly wanted it to be available to people that can't afford coaching, right?
Mhm.
Or people that might just be curious and seeing, what's this? What's she talking about? Like, what does this career management stuff really mean? Right. And, or retooling people, giving people tools. So, those are two of the things. The third is that I actually also have an online course that parallels work it for the professionals that like, multimedia, if you will. Right. So, there's that option. And then I deliver in-person training to organizations and help them go through this process. So I guess it's a long way of saying that I try to make it available to the learner in the modality that best suits how they learn and how they want to absorb and engage in a journey,
Yeah, that's
right?
great. What is the name of your course?
Work it.
Working. Thanks. Okay, great. Great.
Same,
I wanted to
yeah.
make sure we got that in there. So,
Work at the course, work at
yeah,
the book. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
We'll link to both in the show notes. So we'll link to your book
Great.
and the course in the show notes. How else can listeners or viewers connect with you online?
Sure. At leadership-assist.com is my website, and Maria at leadership-assist.com is my email.
Okay, great. Well, we'll include all of that. One last question for you. Now,
Yes.
I have been playing around with asking this at the end of the show and asking it this at the beginning, and I found that a lot of times when I ask it this at the end, you've already answered the question. But I don't know if I heard it from you this time. So, uh,
Mhm.
I got bits and pieces, but I want to know, what was Beyond the Bestseller for you? So when you decided to write this book, what was other than becoming a bestseller and selling 1,000,000 copies, what was your well, there's the dogs. I told you before we started recording, the dogs are
And so glad, and I told you how much I love them. They're just speaking up. You know what? They're doing exactly what I encourage my clients to do. Have a point of view. Use your voice.
Maria, what for you was beyond the
Yeah.
bestseller? What was the reason you wrote this book other than to become a bestseller? What was your real reason for wanting to put this out there into the world?
Yeah, to empower professionals with the understanding and the tools to not abdicate their power of influence and drive their careers forward, right? That's it. It's your life is on purpose. You were born for a reason, and stand up, own it, and drive it. Ask for help when you can, and don't expect it to be there, right? And that's not from a negative mindset. It's just simply if we expect and wait, then we're wasting precious time. And ask for help and then take the door. And I say, many of my clients, I'm like, knock on the door, try and open it. And if that darn door doesn't open, you kick it in, right?
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Maria, for coming on and sharing your story with us, sharing your book with us, and we will, like I said, we'll link to all the things in the show notes, and hopefully you
Nice.
find more people who need your help because I think what you're doing is wonderful. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Kelly. It's been a privilege. Thanks.
Looking for a community of women writers to support and inspire you on your journey? Join the Author Power Circle. Connect weekly with fellow authors, stay accountable, and move your book forward in an encouraging community. Learn more at kellyschuknecht.com.